Hi everybody, and welcome to another weekly forecast. This forecast will be for Friday, May 28th, all the way through June 3rd, which is Thursday. So we have quite an interesting week coming out of eclipse season, and I am really excited to share it with you because we are coming into some very interesting times, some very pivotal energies, and it might get a little bit weird, weirder than it already is. My name is Yelena Crawford, if we haven't met already. I am an intuitive astrologer and spiritual guide. And if we have met already, then welcome back once again to my channel. I am so very grateful for you guys showing up each and every time. And all of you leaving comments, likes, all of those types of things, and interacting with the video. It just means so much to me and I really appreciate it. Another thing I wanted to mention is that we just hit 1,000 subscribers. So thank you guys so much. That was a huge milestone. And I am just so unbelievably grateful and feel so privileged to be able to share what I love so much with you guys here on YouTube. Again, I am going to be conveying this information via the tropical Western Zodiac. I use a mix between modern and ancient Hellenistic astrology. I'm also in the Eastern time zone here in the Detroit, Michigan area. Hey to anybody from Michigan or anywhere nearby. So if you are hearing me give any times, just know that is coming specifically from that time zone and you can adjust accordingly. If you are interested in a personal reading, if you'd like a natal chart reading or maybe transits and solar return, I have links below in the description box where you can go ahead and schedule that, or you can go directly to my website, yelenacrawford.com. And finally, I do weekly forecasts that are released every single Friday. The next video will be for the solar eclipse new moon, and I will be doing readings for all 12 signs for that. But for this week, I'm going to be giving you guys an extended forecast on the dates that I mentioned. Again, that is today, Friday, May 28th, all the way through Thursday, June 3rd. And I'm really excited to be talking about what's going on right now. We are just coming off of this very, very strong and pivotal total blood moon lunar eclipse, which just so happens to line up with something very interesting. So according to the Aztecs, the ancient Toltec civilization, they also have a calendar that's very similar to the Mayan calendar. But this eclipse on May 26th lined up specifically with a switch from the Aztec 5th to the 6th sun. So you might be thinking, what the heck is a sun? Well, it is equivalent to what is known as an age, right? So these are 6,000 year cycles, and we shifted the day of the eclipse. We released, because the lunar eclipse is all about release and letting go. And we are releasing the 5th sun, the 5th age, according to the Aztec civilization. So I thought that that was very interesting. They say that we are moving from more of an outward approach to life, focusing on things outside of ourselves, giving our power away to other people, being more externally focused and not looking within and seeking answers from within ourselves and taking back our power and standing in our truth. And we are focusing to a more internal age, which is very cool. It's promoting healing and really stepping into your authentic power and taking your power back, right, as a sovereign being. So now we are in between eclipse, in this eclipse window, this eclipse portal or gateway, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. But first, on Friday, May 28th, we've got the moon going to be in the sign of Capricorn. So it moved in late Thursday night, and the moon represents our moods and constant fluctuations and changes that we experience in our everyday environment. So it's important that we follow it because it's going to tell us a lot about what our moods are going to be certain days. So you'll hear me talk about this a lot in the forecast. So on Friday, we've got the moon in Capricorn, making us a little bit more emotionally detached, right? Capricorns have this ability, moon in Capricorn specifically, to really focus on what's at hand that's practical, that needs attention, and they are able to kind of separate themselves emotionally from it. So they don't get their emotions wrapped up and tied in with that. Now, one thing you do want to look out for and be careful is that you aren't too detached from the emotions. You aren't actually repressing any emotions that are trying to surface or come up, and that you are paying extra close attention to this so you're not bypassing anything that you need to give attention to, right? So that's very important. You might actually have a little bit more of a serious or stoic nature to you today, really kind of focusing and working towards your goals and being very diligent with whatever it is that you're putting your energy towards. But I want to go into this eclipse gateway portal a little bit. So this is a 2-week window that lies between two eclipses, right? So we've got a couple different ways that this gateway could be expressed. It really depends on the two signs that the eclipses are taking place in on that axis. For these, this is the Gemini-Sagittarius axis, so it's ruled by Mercury and Jupiter. We've got the lower mind, the intellect, and the higher mind, our belief systems, the way that we see the world and our life philosophies, right? Spiritual laws and things like that. And then also what's very important is what comes first in the eclipse succession. So if we have a lunar eclipse, then a solar eclipse, or a solar eclipse and then a lunar eclipse, it will shift the energy of what we experience in this portal and what we experience in the 6 months to come after that second and final eclipse. So I'm going to tailor this obviously to the beginning of a lunar eclipse followed by a solar eclipse, because that's what's happening. So we just had that lunar eclipse, which took place at the full moon, right? We've got a 2-week gateway period here. This is a very powerful time that you're going to want to really keep extra track of the things that are happening, the different dreams that you're having, the synchronicities that appear in your everyday reality. I would really highly suggest journaling during this time, that you can go back and kind of access everything that you wrote in months to come. And this will really help you put the pieces together, because eclipses are something that unfold over a 6-month time period. So it's really nice when we're actually tracking and following along and building this relationship with the moon and everything too. Even though I know it can be kind of tedious, especially when life is disarray and everything is shifting and changing. So you are probably feeling the impending change if it isn't already starting, right? So I know a lot of people that this is already happening, like they're already being forced into it, or else they're making it happen themselves, right? They're feeling an urgency to do something, or something just springs out of the blue in your life and has started to change. So these lunar eclipses, they tend to be a little bit more on the emotional side. So we've focused a lot on letting go, releasing, or maybe something that's been happening in our lives reaching at this apex point, this culmination of some sorts. So basically what we're doing is we are releasing and making room for all of the new that is getting ready to come in. So there's a heaviness definitely that kind of comes with a lunar eclipse. I really do like solar eclipses a lot better. I feel like they tend to be a lot more light and happy. Sometimes, I mean, there can be challenging solar eclipses too. There can be challenges with all of it. They're node related, right? But there is a little bit more of a heaviness. Of course, it's kind of difficult when we're doing this release and letting go stage of life, where it might have to do with our emotions and our thought patterns and our belief systems. Maybe if we have dogmatic views about certain things in life, it might actually shine light on our shadow qualities and bring things up to the surface that maybe we had not been taking a look at for many years, that are really difficult for us to look at, right? So it can be kind of challenging, but really it is urging you to not suppress this, to not turn your cheek the other way, and to really work on kind of purging this, right? It's kind of a catharsis of sorts, where it's giving you the ability to kind of let it come up and out so that you can make room for this new aspect of life that's trying to come into your lives, right? Come into all of our lives. This could even potentially be reckless behavior, self-sabotaging tendencies, old wounds that were not properly healed. You probably are starting to get the idea, right? So one last reminder, do not ignore what's coming up. I think that is imperative first and foremost. There is a potential in this 2-week period as well for maybe some type of loss or a culmination or an ending. So something actually finalizing and wrapping itself up, right? Or starting the beginning stages of that. So you might notice that as well as you move closer and closer to the solar eclipse, which is on June 10th, which we'll get into in next week's video, all 12 signs reading. And it'll start to lighten up a bit. The energy will start to lighten up. We're not gonna feel as tired and as drained and overly emotional as we probably do right now. It's a really good time right now to cleanse, salt baths, self-care, journal, take care of yourself. You know, do all those extra little things that make yourself feel better. Move your body. Movement is very important. Eating healthy, really drinking a lot of water. I know these are very basic things, but sometimes we tend to forget, especially amongst chaos and a lot of changing. And then with that solar eclipse being the end of this season, it's all about moving towards the new, right, in the months ahead. So there's going to be a lot of new beginnings, and we're going to be focusing on growth heading in that direction. So it's very exciting. We just have to get through the challenging aspects first, right, which there's always challenges, and we can do this. So then after this, you guys, in the evening, the moon is going to make a contact with Chiron. So this could potentially be triggering some type of old wounding from early childhood, some type of wounding in our life, maybe as it pertains to family matters or anything emotionally that may be coming up inside of you. So this is going to be occurring about 5:54 p.m. Remember, that is Eastern Standard Time, so adjust accordingly. And then exactly following that, the moon is going to be in a trine, which is a nice harmonious aspect with the Great Awakener and Liberator Uranus. And this is going to be happening at 6:21 p.m. This is really actually very energizing, emotionally stimulating, and it's great to support in your awakening to something that may have been affecting you emotionally or may have been affecting you in terms of family matters and your home life. So this can really help to bring in a sense of liberation, but really it's very energizing, right? I feel like when there's Moon Uranus aspects in general, I tend to feel this electric sensation running through my body because Uranus rules over things like electricity. So you might even start to notice that because the moon represents the physical body. So just keep an eye out for this if you are somebody who's a little bit more sensitive in the area of your body. Or you could just be really feeling satisfied in your own individual uniqueness and eccentricity. You could just be feeling a lot of harmony with that area of life. And yeah, there could be some type of nice internal shift or breakthrough that you experience pertaining to your emotions and your internal world. So overall, I think Friday looks like a pretty chill day. I really like this Moon trine Uranus transit. I think that's nice. And we'll go ahead and move on to Saturday because we've got a lot to talk about on Saturday. This is probably going to be the longest day of the entire forecast. I did title Saturday, May 29th, Edgy. Because it is. It looks like there is a potential for some moodiness definitely today. So if you can maybe just chill and stay away from people, I would highly suggest that. We've got first and foremost 1:12 a.m. So all of my friends across the world in different time zones, this could potentially be affecting you guys and you will notice it. We've got Venus coming into a tight conjunction with the planet of Mercury. So we've got the planet of love and relationships and money and finances and beauty and aesthetics combining with the planet of intellect and mental capacity and learning and communication. This is a fun, playful, communicative energy, not really deep communication, kind of surface level, just really chatty and having a good old time, right? So this might actually be a little bit more of an introspective energy because Mercury is at a standstill, which will prepare to go retrograde, but we're gonna wait to talk about that until the last thing on Saturday. So just give me a couple minutes for that. But you might even be really introspective and starting to begin to think about what brings you joy and harmony and pleasure in life and how you can bring more joy and harmony into your relationships to promote better communication in relationships where you have a deeper understanding of each other. Friendly communication with other people. This is a really good time to call your friends. Say, hey, what's up? Let's talk. But one thing to consider, it is within 2 degrees of a square, which is a little bit of a challenge with that interesting Neptune and Pisces dynamic. So it is a separating aspect, but Mercury is going to be retrograding to connect with that once again eventually. So I did want to consider this because this brings in an element of deception. It brings in an element of confusion and fogginess to all of our communications and our relationships and our friendships. Things may not be as they appear on the surface. And we need to make sure that we're using discernment in all of our communications, all the information that's out there in the world, because Neptune rules over the media and the news, and Gemini rules over information. So there is going to be information flying all over the place, and we're going to be confused as to how to make sense of it, what to believe, what not to believe. So just use discernment. You don't need to make any rash judgments or decisions or anything like that today. So just be careful for that. Protect yourself. So you also may be more susceptible to outside energies like lies and deceit and gossip and toxicity of some sort in that sense. This is also the behavior of escapism and addiction. So it could also have a lot to do with maybe vanity too. Really overemphasizing the importance of looks and what you appear on the surface. Maybe not seeing certain relationships in your life for what they are. You can be deceived by that a little bit too. And not clearly seeing your downfalls and how you operate in relationships. And maybe you are acting as a victim or a martyr. And you might want to take another look, like turn the situation back around on yourselves in true retrograde fashion, go inside and kind of observe the way that you operate in relationships too. Are you the type of person that has no boundaries, that lets people kind of walk all over you and take advantage of you? Or maybe you're the type of person that blows right past other people's boundaries and you need to kind of step back a little bit and respect, right? So it's just a couple things to bring to the forefront to get you guys thinking. After this, about 10:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon is going to be in an opposition with Mars, which can prove to be quite a bit challenging. This is definitely an energy that's going to require a certain amount of balance or compromise or integration of some sort. It could be challenging, confrontation, aggressive with family matters. Moon does represent family dynamics, mother, women, those types of things. So just look out for that. There could potentially be some issues with the body. You could feel maybe overly aggressive or the need for physical stimulation, like you absolutely are not able to relax. You feel like you're, unstable emotionally and maybe a little bit volatile internally. So I would really highly suggest moving the body, getting exercise to move that energy through so that it doesn't get stuck. You don't have blockages that are going to pose even more of a challenge in your day, right? This just is a little bit of a start to kind of the moodiness in those dynamics, but emotional commitment to what you're trying to achieve out in the world may somehow be tested, right? There could pose to be some sort of challenge or confrontation of some sort. Some type of dynamic that may require some type of balance or compromise with another person or family member. You could just overall feel moody or irritable and impulsive. So you want to watch out for that too, impulsivity for sure. You might be easily triggered or tempered. So watch out, just be very self-aware. If somebody says something to you, just know that even with this Venus conjunct Mercury, pretty much square Neptune and Pisces, you are going to be a little bit more sensitive to what other people say. So just don't take everything so personally, right? Try not to be triggered by it, but if you are triggered by it, take a look inside and see what it is within you that is allowing this triggering to happen, right? So maybe try to be a little bit more introspective with it. The moon is always supportive of that. And then we move into about 6:14 p.m. where we've got the moon coming into a conjunction with Pluto retrograde. So this just amps up the intensity of whatever was happening in the afternoon. So maybe there was some type of confrontation in the family or some communication came in that really affected us and upset us and we're feeling some emotional instability. Well, the emotional intensity amps up a little bit. Maybe we started to obsess about what happened, or we just can't stop thinking about it, and it's really starting to affect us. Whatever these circumstances happened earlier in the day is really starting to affect us. So make sure you're not bypassing, like I said, you're not repressing this is another opportunity for catharsis, to really purge whatever it is that's going on with you emotionally and pass it through. So instead of repressing that, make sure that you're actually working with the energy specifically, okay? This is gonna be an energy where you are feeling very deeply. So breathe through it. Like I said, movement of the body is going to be imperative. And this is also very psychic energy. So you may notice that you're able to just pick up on things a little bit easier. So if there isn't that emotional volatility, you could just be extra psychically aware, extra intuitive. So this could be potentially a very powerful energy for you on this day if you're able to kind of harness that emotional aspect of yourself. This could also prove to be very chaotic energy in family dynamics and bring up certain emotions and inner tendencies towards jealousy, control, obsession, and it could potentially have something to do with other females and friendships, family, or even over your own body, right? So those are some interesting things on Saturday. After this Moon-Pluto transit, the moon will go void, of course, which can also prove to be some confusing energy where we don't want to have too many plans or errands to run or people to talk to, meetings to tend to. Luckily, it's Saturday night from about 6:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. in the morning Eastern time. So just try to chill, honestly, relax, process everything that may potentially have happened during the day. Kick your feet up and relax because this is a really good time to do so. And then wrapping up Saturday. I know I told you guys that Saturday was going to be long, so just bear with me here. We've got Mercury stationing to go retrograde. Now, on the days that Mercury stations, it's going to be the most intense, right? Because Mercury is at a standstill, and we may really start to notice some significant events that will give us some hints as to what this retrograde period is going to be all about. But if you want to know firsthand, you can even go back to when the shadow period began, which I believe was about May 15th-ish. So you can kind of see what's happened from May 15th on that is going to be about the topics I'm going to tell you in a moment here. And you might even start to see what this is going to be all about for you, right? So we've got this Mercury retrograde occurring in the sign of Gemini. Mercury is at home here, so Mercury is super comfortable, but Mercury can be extra mischievous in Gemini as well, that trickster energy. So that could even prove to be a little bit more challenging as it pertains to things like the mind, the intellect, communication processes, technology, siblings, our immediate environment and neighborhood community, relatives, neighbors, travel and vehicles and public transportation, things like that. Phones, computers, all of those types of things could come to the forefront. Now, Mercury rules over our thought processes, communication, the way that we learn and process information. It also rules things like the way that we make decisions in life and our speech. So it's pretty important. Yeah, rules over a lot of things that Gemini does because they're connected. So vehicles and technology, all of those things, the stock market, quick money exchanges, markets, merchants, all of those things. Now, what is a retrograde, right? So I'm not going to go into the astronomy of it. I have talked in previous videos. I did a big breakdown about what retrograde is astronomically. So if you want to go back and look to previous retrograde videos, maybe I'll pop one up on the screen right here, but they could indicate things like reversals, bringing people from our past back in or situations from our past back in. It could bring confusion, slowdowns, delays, challenges with travel plans and travel in general. It actually is definitely going to bring an introspection. It takes us more internal rather than externally focused. It slows things down, including speech, understandings. That's why there's a lot of miscommunications that happen during Mercury retrograde periods. I'm already starting to talk funny. I can feel it. My words just aren't coming out as well. So hopefully I'm getting this through clear and concise. It could bring a lack of concentration and overall general confusion because Gemini energy and Mercury energy is quick, right? There's a lot going on in Gemini season, and with the mind, that monkey mind being fast and quick. So yeah, we could be totally scattered all over the place. So basically, like I said, Gemini season can bring a lot of busyness. It has a tendency towards neurotic, anxiety-prone energy. And if you're not keeping yourself busy, you could be prone towards boredom, which can ultimately lead you into mischievous behavior. So you want to watch out for that. So one really important thing here is to not be too busy, but not be bored, right? So we want to walk that middle path, keep ourselves busy, but try to slow down in honor of the Mercury retrograde energy. So we want to try to flow and work with this energy as much as humanly possible, right? There is a potential for an uptick in information through the media and news that could be a little bit more confusing, which we already talked about this having relation to that Neptune and Pisces energy, because Mercury will be moving backwards right over that 22 or 23 degree point where Neptune is at right now. I would definitely urge you to stay away from cattiness, gossip, bullying, all of those typical common things that Gemini may get themselves in trouble with sometimes. I wouldn't really start anything new at this time. Mercury retrogrades are typically not the best time to start new projects or business endeavors or anything like that. But if there is something that you've already been studying or already been working on, this is actually a really good time for studying and learning and taking in information. So I would highly suggest that if it's already something you've been working on. It can also be a really good time to work on things pertaining to a business that's already established, like you want to do rebranding or re-strategizing, reorganizing, or anything like that. So all of those rewords are going to come to the forefront. So basically this week, Mercury will be retrograding not very much because he's so slow right now from 24 to 23 degrees. So I would say all of you mutable sign people, if you have placements from about 29 to 18 degrees in the mutable signs this week, you are going to be more strongly affected by this. And there may pose to be more challenges for you because this will be making either an opposition or a square aspect to your placements and these signs. I think we spent a lot of time on Saturday today, so let's go ahead and move into Sunday. So this is May 30th. This is a really nice day. After Saturday and this shady, sketchy, kind of edgy energy, I really like Sunday and I'm looking forward to it. So in the morning, 12 a.m., really, really early, we've got the moon moving into the sign of Aquarius. So we're kind of continuing on with this emotionally detached energy. Aquarius does have an ability to kind of detach themselves from emotions, not really be too affiliated or affected by that emotional energy. So we're kind of carrying through this theme. We just want to make sure that we're not trying to over rationalize any emotions that come up and kind of ignore them. So we want to watch out for that. But then the moon is going to be making some really nice and harmonious aspects from about 4:42 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. So we've got this really nice clear energy all day, and then we've got the moon. It's going to be trining the sun, and then the moon's going to be trining the north node, and it's going to make a really harmonious sextile to Chiron. So promoting healing, really supportive of our purpose and where we're heading in the future, kind of getting us on track with all of that. Just very flowy, supportive, harmonious, unifying type of energy. So we're going to be in flow all day. Just everything could potentially be falling into place. You're really going to be feeling harmonious, and it's going to be nice, especially after Saturday. So then about 9:29 p.m. in the evening on Sunday, the moon will be coming into conjunction with Saturn, and it's going to be squaring Uranus. So this could potentially be a little bit of a hiccup. I know for all of my Eastern time zone people, this is a little bit later in the evening, but you could potentially be feeling a little bit restricted with this need for structure, maybe discipline in your life, but you have this like desire for liberation and freedom. So there's like this impulsive, almost rebellious energy, and you're going to have to figure out how to temper the two and bring the two into harmony, right? A couple other possibilities. It could be a shakeup in family dynamics. There could be some type of shakeup in traditions, structures, foundations, and our home life. So that's something to look out for. Maybe expected disruptions to our safety and security. Foundations. Maybe feeling emotionally tied down or restricted in family dynamics, or faced with a challenge that might lead to some type of breakthrough, but it'll require some type of action on our part. overall, this is Saturn that we're dealing with, and then that is overall challenging energy as well, poses like limitations, restrictions on us. It requires a certain level of discipline and seriousness. And then we've got Uranus, which is kind of a wild card, right? Uranus is rebellious, it's weird, it's wacky, it's out there. You never know what you're really gonna get with this. And yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. There's potentially going to be a theme of responsibility versus rebelliousness, spontaneity, and liberation, right? So just keep an eye out for that. Monday, we're going to move into May 31st. Today, the only thing I really want to talk about is I gave this day the theme of life purpose, which makes me very excited. This is the Sun conjunct the North Node in the sign of Gemini. So yes, the Sun and the North Node, their dispositor, meaning the ruler of the sign that it's in, is Mercury, and Mercury has station to go retrograde. So this really tells me that there is this internally focused, introspective energy as it pertains to what we're doing out in the world, where we're heading towards our purpose, and whatever karmic direction life is trying to pull us in, whatever fated direction. So there may be some type of internal restructuring that may need to occur, especially after all the letting go and emotional things that were happening with this past total blood moon lunar eclipse. There may be some things that need to be shifted in our internal or external world to put us back on track and get us on the correct trajectory moving forward, right? So pay extra close attention to this day, because there are higher powers and higher energies that are working with you, and it should be very supportive overall. So yes, going inward, restructuring, rethinking, revising, replanning, all of those kinds of things about our goals and our destination of where we're heading in the future. Okay. And then it could bring also maybe a potential of a very important person, a leader or a boss or some type of authority figure, all of those sun-like figures that could really help to shift us in our trajectory moving forward, or this person could potentially have some type of influence on us this day. Overall, this day is going to bring us increased motivation, a sense of willpower. It's a really good day to work on goals, to really start getting your ideas out there, writing them down on paper, putting them into motion, preferably something that you've already potentially been working on because of that retrograde period like we just discussed, right? But this is a really good time to maybe learn or put some work into what you're doing and moving towards your purpose and what you really want to do to get those goals and everything in motion, okay? So this is also a potential time to increase our life force energy and our vitality. It could be super supportive. This North Node energy in Hellenistic astrology is an increase in something, right? So it's an increase in vitality, an increase in motivation, an increase in our life force. I like the sound of that. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely do. I love those days that give me a lot of energy and I can get a lot of stuff done. All right, let's go ahead. We've got another good day on Tuesday, June 1st. Starting off the first of the month, what do people say, rabbit, rabbit or something when it's the first of the month? I've heard that a bunch of times. Hopefully that's the first of the month and I'm not getting that wrong. But this day, we've got a lot of Piscean energy. We've got the moon entering the sign of Pisces. It's gonna make us a little bit more sensitive and emotional. Overall, super creative energy, bringing you way more into your psychic senses, your empathic nature, your intuition. So this is really supportive of people who are in those specific fields. If you are somebody that likes to create or paint or do poetry or creative writing or anything like that, this is super supportive energy of all of those types of things. There is a potential to escape, fall prey to the escapism, or potentially be more susceptible to negative outside influences and then kind of step into that victim role. So just watch out for everything like that too. There's obviously a plus and a negative to many different energies that we discuss in astrology. So I just like to throw a couple of each in there for you. And then to top it off, we've got the moon, which is going to be hitting that 1 degree Jupiter, right? In Pisces. Jupiter's in its home sign. It's super well dignified. It's really happy here. This is really fertile. This is a really fertile placement. So if you are trying to get pregnant and there are no opposing indicators in your chart other than this, I'd say this is a good day. This is very, very fertile energy, okay? So the moon also already represents the ovaries and the womb and mothering and all of those types of things. And yeah, Jupiter brings in that fertility. So if you aren't trying to conceive, be very careful on this day. Feeling very fulfilled emotionally is also something that this could potentially bring. But we do want to watch out too, because Jupiter tends to expand and magnify things and kind of be excessive. So this also could be excessive emotions. Jupiter is that generosity planet. It's all about being super generous, supporting abundance and prosperity. And this could be generosity within the family, right? You may have a family member that is extra generous this day, or you may be actually feeling that way. It can magnify our extreme sensitivities as well as those addictions and escapism tendencies that we have, just like I was mentioning with the moon being in Pisces in general, and Jupiter expanding upon things and making them bigger. So even though Jupiter is well dignified, it is something that we could potentially happen. But finally, one thing is that you could be feeling extra connected to your feminine, your divine feminine energy. And that's a really beautiful and positive thing to be experiencing as well. Let's go ahead and move on to Wednesday, June 2nd, where Venus enters the sign of Cancer. Yay! So Venus is in Cancer, which it will be supported by the moon. The moon likes to be in Pisces, so right now this is super sensitive, intuitive, psychic, empathic, creative energy that we're experiencing. So I would say these are a nice few days to really dive into those aspects of life, if that's something that you enjoy. So Venus will be in the sign of Cancer from June 2nd all the way to June 27th, which is really nice energy. But this could be like shifts in relationships and money dynamics once Venus switches signs, right? It's gonna bring in much more of a nurturing and caring, receptive energy. In relationships and family, we may be feeling like we need to be super protective of the people in our relationships and feeling an extra need to be secure in our relationships and in our friendship dynamics and everything like that. Since this is going to be affected by the moon and the moon's constant fluctuations and changes in its cycle, there could be some ups and downs with money and relationships that we want to keep our eyes out for too. And just know that that's something that we could potentially expect throughout the next month. Let's go ahead and finally, we're going to move into Thursday, June 3rd, which will end our forecast here today. We've got the moon void of course for most of the day. So if you can, maybe just take it easy in the morning from about the time of 7 a.m. until around 2 p.m. I know most people have to go to work and there are responsibilities and things that we have to do, but if you can potentially just take it a little bit more easy than usual, that would be fantastic. And then we've got the moon moving into the sign of Aries in the afternoon, making us feel much more bold and energized, motivated, maybe potentially being more physically active. Watch out for confrontation or aggression, or maybe just being a little bit more insensitive to other people's emotions, or maybe a little bit impulsive. But we would potentially have a lot more inner strength and motivation when the moon is in Aries. We've got two amazing aspects. So we've got the sun in a beautiful, harmonious, and supportive trine with Saturn retrograde. So everything that's been going on, this is gonna occur at 3:05 p.m. It's gonna be super supportive in terms of what your commitments are in your life right now and the things that you're working really hard on and that you're really dedicated to. This is gonna be totally supportive of your purpose and your responsibilities, and you're gonna be feeling really motivated. So this is great. There could potentially be some support coming in from some sort of Saturnian or sun figure, which could be some type of leader or boss that may be in your life, maybe a father figure or something like that. There's gonna be a potential for a positive shift in our attitude and our ego and our confidence level, really helping to align us with more humility and a sense of being more down to earth and grounded, which is definitely going to help us step more into our authentic nature, which is great because Once we step more into our authenticity, we're able to step more towards success in life. We're able to step more towards being in harmony with ourselves and our relationships and everything that we associate with. And this is super supportive energy of that. You could also receive some sort of amazing recognition for maybe a project that you've been working really hard on or something that you've been putting a lot of time and effort into. So just a little pat on the back from there. And finally, I think this is literally maybe one of the best aspects that we could potentially have in astrology. We've got Venus in the sign of Cancer that just moved in there at that 1 degree mark, going to be making the most beautiful trine with the planet Jupiter. So we've got the two benefics of the chart, both very well dignified. I mean, we've got Jupiter in Pisces, the traditional rulership. Venus feels really nice and supported and nurtured in the sign of Cancer. This is going to be around 7:32 p.m. This is a really good energy for celebration. So I don't know if you guys are doing anything on Thursday night, but if you have anything to celebrate, this is fantastic. I would say go out, indulge, go out to dinner, really stimulate the senses and be with people that you love, friendships, people that you love to surround yourself with. This could potentially bring in some luck or opportunity in some way from maybe a female or friend or a teacher or something like that. And it's just overall amazing energy for well-being and happiness and joy and romance and luck and abundance and creativity. I could go on and on. You may be feeling really, really optimistic. So this could be just super, super supportive with your relationships and your friendships in general. And there is a potential, of course, for any type of overindulgence or materialism or vanity. So just watch out for stuff like that. Overall, you guys, I think that this is super positive energy, but like I said, I just like to throw those dynamics in there. Abundance is the key word here. So we are ending off this week so beautifully. I hope that you guys benefited from this and that this helps you to better navigate your week. But next week we have a really exciting forecast. We're gonna be diving into Saturn square Uranus, the second hit of that. We're gonna be diving into the solar return and the coinciding Mercury cazimi square Neptune and Pisces. So this is gonna be a very interesting forecast. Make sure you guys stay tuned. It will be released on Friday, I'm already in July. It will be on Friday, June 4th. Excuse me, I don't want to go that far ahead. I want to enjoy my summer. I'm sure you do too. But if you guys benefited from this content, make sure to tap the like button below. If you haven't already done so, tap stories. Thank you all very much. Peace and namaste. Signing out, you guys. Have a great week.